right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. Friday! This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/the Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 178 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the show. If you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. If the app you are using allows you to rate the show or leave feedback, please consider leaving a 4-star or 5-star rating, and please feel free to leave feedback about the show. What happens when you do this is, if someone else using the same app as you is looking for a weight loss related podcast, the Ranting Weight Watcher just ends up a little higher on that list, enabling more exposure to the Ranting Weight Watcher. Most of all, if you really want to help the growth of this podcast, literally everyone you know in the same position we are in, looking to become healthy, tell them about the show. Tell them how the show has helped you. Tell them that they need to hear it, and then show them how to listen to it. That's the best way you can do it. I want to take a moment to give a special thanks to our second ever financial supporter of the podcast, Kathy. Thank you so much for your financial support of this cast. You know, I had put that thing there and not thinking anything of it, and I wasn't going to make a big deal and tell the world about it. And then I went from having one financial supporter to having 2 financial supporters now. It's amazing. Thank you guys so much for considering giving your hard-earned money to support this podcast. Well, I got lots to talk about. Let's get into this! Journey updates. Man, has the scale been good to me the last 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy, actually, because I don't know. I mean, when you do things like the way I do them, big losses, big gains, they don't make sense. Little ones over time, they make sense. But I am basically down 4.8 pounds over the last 2 weeks. Total lost is 177.2 pounds. Officially 27.8 pounds away from the 200-pound goal. It's crazy to think that 5 years ago, I was sitting in a studio with a clipboard in my hand, filling out the information on the little card, and all I could think was, I want to lose 200 pounds and then reevaluate my life. That's all I want. I want to lose 200 pounds and then reevaluate my life. Make a new decision. What happens next after losing 200 pounds? And now, 5 short years later, implementing small incremental changes. I mean, if I look back on the last 5 years, there's so few things I could point out that said, oh man, that was really hard. That was really hard. And I think part of that is because I did things so planned out and so incrementally. I can say my current situation is really hard. Because even though we had that conversation, me and Christine, and we said stuff about net carbs in that podcast, part of me really wants to do what the book suggests. And going from 175 grams of carbs to 144 grams of carbs a day seems like probably the most difficult thing of all of this so far. But if I want to get to the point where the book says I should be, it's not just about getting there. It's about getting there and being able to hold it. Because if I get there and immediately go back, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the feeling that I gave it a shot. It's got to be all-encompassing. I did it. And there has to be some sort of an elapsed period of time where I can say, no, you know what? It's not sustainable. Or yes, it's totally sustainable. Can I be candid for a minute? Since the holiday break, I felt like this wonderful feeling like, oh, I'm returning. I felt this inspiration to keep going on this podcast. That was quickly short-lived. It was very, very short-lived. The feeling of going through the motions, of not wanting to do this, it's all back. But I also feel like something is missing. Something is missing from this podcast. I took some time to think about it. I looked at, my analytics, which is probably the worst thing to do every time I feel stuff like this. And so that doesn't show me anything that I want to see, at least. But in the process of all this, I ended up looking at the feedback received on Apple Podcasts, because Apple Podcasts is the one app that allows you to make comments about the show, so you can not only leave a star rating, but you can leave feedback for other people to see about the show. I went over there and I decided to look at all of them, really. The good, the bad, the ugly. And I saw some common themes. There are three things that people seem to enjoy. When you look at the feedback, they're all in agreement with each other. And the first thing is he's real. He doesn't candy coat. Their second thing is he tells it like it is. He speaks truth that no one else is willing to say. But the third thing, it kind of surprised me a little bit. He's in the fight with us. And it kind of hit me. What would happen when I get to 200? Would the new people come in and would I just sound like some guy that has no idea? Would I sound like like I lost touch. You know, like you have some bodybuilders or whatever that they have never been obese a day in their life. And they yell and scream of what you need to do to lose weight. I mean, does any of us look at that and say, hey, look, until you know what it is to be obese and get to where you are, I'm just not relating to what you're saying. Would I become the person that's not relatable? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe to the people that have followed this from the beginning, I would never become that person. But to the newcomer who just listens to a random episode and says stuff like, oh, this mostly pertains to him. It has nothing to do with what actually happens in weight loss. He doesn't really talk about anything that's helpful. That was not a direct quote, but pretty damn close. And that's already now. But what would happen when I hit 200? And when I start chasing the strength training and all that stuff? Would I lose my audience because they could no longer relate? Especially the new audience. But seeing that theme, he's in the fight with us, it made me think from another perspective too, because that's what I do. I always try to look at things from, I can't just present it to myself, will I lose my listenership because they can't relate anymore? I can't just present that and not have another angle, right? This is just the way I think. Because if you stop there, then there's nothing good that's going to come from that thought process, right? Everything that comes after that, if you stop right there, is bad. So what's the solution? You guys love that I'm in the fight with you. You love that I'm living the life and I'm talking it. I'm talking the talk and I'm walking the walk. But when I get to the end, how many times could I just repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, say the same stuff over and over and over, week after week after week? How can I do that? Something needs to change. The podcast needs to evolve. And I recently received some inspiration. Inspiration that I would love to make happen. It would take some courageous person or people. I was listening to a podcast. Something was said in there that it probably took 10 seconds of the entire podcast, but it hit me like a wrecking ball. And he said, you're most qualified to help those that you used to be. I'll say that again. You're most qualified to help those you used to be. This few seconds of this podcast felt like confirmation. It felt like all of the passion I feel when I'm at this microphone trying to get you guys to see what I'm saying, it felt justified. You love me because I'm in the fight. I am also most qualified to talk to you because I'm in the fight. It confirmed to me that if I have this qualification, then it's almost like my duty to stand at this microphone, as much as I don't want to do it. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I now present to you the Ranting Weight Watcher Accountability Creed. If you choose this day to say this creed, you are accountable to me, the author. You are also accountable to all of those before you who have taken the creed, and all of those after you who will take the creed. But most of all, you are accountable to yourself. Now recite with me the Accountability Creed. Nothing can stand in my way because I choose to be unstoppable. My challenges crumble in my presence because I choose strength when I am weak. My insecurities have no power over my life because I choose confidence in the face of fear. I own every last one of my mistakes because I choose growth over mediocrity. The mirror and the scale are powerless because I move forward in spite of the result. Circumstances are not obstacles because I see solutions instead of problems. The demons of my past can no longer torment me because I choose to renew my mind daily. All things are possible as long as I believe, because if God is for me, who can be against me? This is the creed I declare each day. It is about what I do, not what I say. I will learn the work that needs to be done. I will never stop, even when I've won. I will work consistently, no matter the cost. I refuse to believe that all hope is lost. I will work when I want to. I will work when I don't. I will work when they are cheering. I will work when they won't. I will work when it's easy. I will work when it's hard. The atonements that I've made are made with no regard. I will work when it's cold. I will work when it's hot, because choices have consequences, justified or not. When I think I know it all, I will start back at one, because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. And from this moment forward, when times are tough, I choose to believe that I am enough. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. You guys love that I'm walking this walk because it's so much more than my weight loss. And I've been saying that how many weeks in a row now? How many weeks in a row have I said at some point, this is so much more than weight loss? This is a transformation of life. This is a redemption. A redemption story. The story of a man who was 460 pounds, made some choices, dropped a whole bunch of weight really fast, learned nothing in the process, ruined his life all over again because he learned nothing in that moment. but decided to get up again anyway and fight again. Staring at 400 pounds a second time in a short 41-year life. I mean, I'm really good at gaining weight. 2 times in my short 41 years, I stared at a weight scale that started with a 4. At the end of this, my redemption story will exist for eternity. But yet, the podcast must evolve. I have this inspiration to do something that I think could be amazing, and it could be absolutely enormous for people. It could change the lives of a small group of very courageous people. And it could change the lives of countless others listening. The same way you can tell me I'm inspiring. Oh my God, you have changed my life. You have changed my thinking. All of these things I've heard at some point. They could be saying that about you. Because it's not just my redemption story. It's also yours. You're on a redemption story just like I am. My inspiration is to have a small group of very courageous people who would be as willing to be open, honest, and transparent as I am at this microphone. Whether it's twice a month, once a month, I'm not sure yet. I don't have all the details ironed out. But a small group of courageous people who would basically be completely transparent and yet allow the guidance toward their redemption story and have it be on this podcast. That's what I'm looking for. A small group. I'm not going to put a number to it because I don't want to limit the idea. But if you're fed up, if you're sick and tired of failing, if you have zero consistency in your life, if you're pissed off because you used to be someplace at a lower weight and you've gained a bunch back and you just can't get back there, I get it. You're who I'm talking to. You're fed up of being sick. That you don't want to have these attachments to these foods that you know are causing harm in your body. You feel like you have food addictions you can't let go of. I get it. You're sick and tired of staring in the mirror and feeling like a failure. I get it. I'm talking to you. Would you be so courageous to volunteer yourself to be transparent to a whole bunch of listeners, whether it's once every 2 weeks or once a month, I don't really know. To sit and talk about your journey, talk about what's going on, and have a real conversation. No sugarcoating. And I'm talking about all of it. I'm not talking about just the journey. Because remember, this is about everything that has ever happened in your life. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about I'm obese and I need to get healthy. It's much more. There's so much more. These behaviors you learned were taught, whether it was from other people or yourself, that they were normal. And others have had traumatic situations in their life that caused them to turn to food, like other people turn to alcohol, cigarettes, drugs. All of that needs to be dealt with. All of that needs to be fixed in your life in order to create the person that will be able to maintain the weight you want to be. The best version of yourself exists, but he or she has to deal with all of the shit from the past, all of the nonsense, and all of the habits that came from that nonsense, and all of the addictive tendencies that came from the habits. Because if you start making corrections in your life and you don't think that you're addicted or whatever, and you don't think that these cravings have anything to do with withdrawal, I don't know what to tell you. But it all must be dealt with. It's all a part. It's all encompassing. It all comes together. The mind, the body, and the spirit all comes together. So if you think you're that courageous, if you think you could do that, where you could sit at a microphone on a Zoom call, whatever it is, if you could sit in a meeting that you know is being recorded, if you could be that courageous to be so transparent about your life and open to receive guidance in order to take the steps to really start fighting the real fight, then I have a Facebook group for you. Now, before you go searching for this Facebook group, just know what you're getting into. Know that this is what's going to be expected of you. You're not going in there to be a spectator. Everyone who joins this Facebook group, I am looking at as someone who will be on the podcast. You are volunteering for what I am talking about right now if you join this Facebook group. I don't want any spectators. I want workers. I want people so fed up and so ready to fight the real fight that they have been avoiding for so long. No one else will be allowed to watch the show. They will hear it on the air. So if you're so courageous, if you're so fed up, if you're so pissed off and ready to change your life, the Facebook group is RWW Redemption. I'm sorry to all of those who do not have Facebook. I just cannot think of any other method to bring people together. So if you're hearing me and you don't have Facebook, if this is the one reason you created a Facebook account to just join this group, it's just a tool for me to facilitate what I envision. That's all it is. If you're ready to start your redemption story, get on Facebook, look for RWW Redemption. What really needs to happen here is you have to come to the end of your own bullshit. In order to have all the variables that I presented today, for you to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, for you to be fed up and pissed off, all of those variables come when you are at the end of your own bullshit. The end of all the excuses. The end of all of the things you think are good reasons why your health has been put on hold. Because that's really what it is. Every choice that takes you away from your health is simply that. You're putting your health on hold. So many people value the food they eat more than the health they can have. So this is your call to action. I'm looking for the people that are fed up, that have come to the end of their own bullshit, that would literally put it all on the line, be completely transparent, push all the chips in the middle of the table, and say, I'm ready to fight for me. If you're ready, if you're that person, then join that Facebook group and get ready for the fight of your life. Because everything that you thought you forgot, all of the pain of your past, it's all gonna come up. All of the failures, all of the reasons you're not a real man, all of the reasons you're not a real woman, all of it's gonna come up. Every last bit of it. And you'll face it once and for all. And then you will finally achieve the success you have dreamt up all this time and become the best version of you. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.